A new year deserves a fresh start. The last time we were together, I was introducing you to one of my rental units at the Villages at Coverley. We were here because a tenant recently left and we needed to refresh the space for the new tenant. Now, I told you I was an absentee landlord and I hadn't seen the space in a while, that we had some work to do. I just want to say, right, getting this place ready brought me to a Christian understanding in terms of what we had to do to clean it, just to bring it up to standard. Whew, you have to go back and watch the last episode, but don't worry, we're going to show you what took place to bring it up to this standard. And if you're peeping over my shoulder, which I know you are, we had some help from our friends at Abeds who helped us to get the finishing look together. I want you to stick around for the whole show because not only will I be showing you all the fabulous things that we got, I'll be speaking to you a bit about not just life as a landlord, but specifically about security deposits, why they will matter to you as a tenant or if you are going to be a potential landlord. It's full of nuggets and it's quite an eyeful. I'm Kelly Johnley and this is Bajan Renovation. Hi guys, so I'm with Dylan Bovell from Top Tier Cleaning Services. Now, I have a running joke. Actually, Shaka and I have a running joke. You see all the people that's got their talk off camera how they ready for an interview? Them is the quietest ones. But I want you to know that this house has brought Dylan to a Christian understanding, okay? I don't know how Dylan is going to respond if I call him again and say, hey Dylan, you know I got another unit that needs cleaning. Dylan, you would have started this project, we would have had an ambitious goal of 2 days. So it's 3 days, which is neither here nor there to me. Tell us what happened on the first day.
Okay, so for the first day, what we did and what we do with all our projects that are basically like this, we start to do like the decluttering of the space, make sure we get out everything so that we have an empty space to work with. Yeah, so we basically did that and then...
And the barrels.
Yeah, we got rid of the barrels and everything like that.
And so, the 1.2 million pieces of garbage.
Yeah, that as well.
So what happened on the second day? Because I wasn't here for the second day.
Well, on the second day is when we like kind of started our general cleaning, whereas then we did the wipe down of the walls, we did the furniture, windows, all the areas in the house. We also did the ceiling fans, the ceiling as well.
You cleaned the ceiling?
Yeah, because
the ceiling was dirty?
It was, yeah, full with a lot of dog fur in the ceiling and in the ceiling fans as well.
This show is not doing well for pets everywhere, guys.
Yeah.
You have never seen so much pet hair in your life.
No, honestly, because then when we started to clean it, it started to come off like balls, like little balls. So yeah, we could take them and roll them in our hands. And
you could have made a dog.
Yeah.
You could have made
a little dog out of fun. Yeah.
Well, guys, what I can tell you, right? Even though this ended up being a 3-day project, I am not seeing any pet hair anywhere. I could say that for sure. And the things that are happening today, do not mind that the house looks like this. The things that are happening today are really, I guess what we call snagging, just going back and touching up little things like, so we're going to just do some cleaning of the AC vents, we're going to do a fan, and we're putting furniture back in place. So this does not mean we're finished, but in terms of the walls being cleaned, the furniture being steamed, one thing Dylan had offered to do was to take the chairs off, plant the cushions and the cushion covers and get those laundered. So those have come back. They're going to bring all the furniture back into place and, as we would like to say, put back up the house. So don't let this frighten you. The frightening part was, I think, the Thursday when I came and I was like, oh Lord, I said, Godspeed. And I remember calling Shaka, I was like, you know, this is 2 days. There's no way, but you know, let me not burst their bubble with this. If they feel this is going to be 2 days, I'm happy with the 3. So that means the next thing that you're going to see is the finished product. Just a little note on what are called structural issues that fall to the responsibility of the landlord, because a lot of times I hear landlords saying, you know, and people could say what they want. Oh, you should see how the tenant left my place, you know, with the boards looking like this, or you know, the fence looking like this and stuff like that. When you pass a property to a tenant, it does not remove all of your responsibility for maintaining the property. So unless you have a lease that says otherwise, structural matters such as the rotting out of the window framing, that is not a tenant's responsibility. So I now have to go and change these. Yay. And I also have to I also have to remove this tree. Lawn maintenance is for a tenant. The removal of a tree is not the responsibility of a tenant. Now, you could say, you could patch this up, and you could say whatever you want, but what I have found is if you do not maintain your properties, you'll be so surprised at how these problems can escalate. So as glamorous or as fun as it might seem, no, I can have a property and rent it out. When you do your costings, try to build in some anticipated maintenance. Yes, there are things like cleaning, but things like this, I was not shocked by it. I mean, it's almost like when you got to change a tire on a car. No one's excited about it. But you do know that over a period of time, things are going to happen. What I personally have done over time is every time a tenant paid rent, I would put aside $200, and I build that up to a level that suits me, so that when things like this have to be done, I don't have to go and pull my pocket fresh. I have no idea what this is going to cost, but it's par for the course. So let's talk a bit about security deposits. And as I said, this is not just about protecting the landlord. Security deposits also protect the interest of a tenant. So what is it? A security deposit is a sum of money paid by a tenant to a landlord, usually at the beginning of a lease period. In most leases, it is the equivalent of 1 month's rent. What does it cover? It covers damages above general wear and tear, and I'll show you what general wear and tear is. It also covers things like cleaning and any outstanding utilities and any breaches of the lease. Now, for the purposes of this property, the security deposit that I retained went towards cleaning. It also went towards clearing some outstanding utilities, specifically the internet bill. What it does not cover is wear and tear on the property. So I'll show you a bit. If you take a look now at the window frames, when we were doing the power wash of the house, the frames started to fall away. The maintenance of the exterior of the property outside of lawn care is not the responsibility of a tenant. I now have to get these frames replaced. The quotes are out and they'll be fixed very soon. Also, you'll see some fading in the paint. Not the responsibility of a tenant. Those are things that are above general wear and tear. General maintenance of the property, however, in terms of keeping the lawns tidy, keeping the furniture that the property was rented with in good condition, that falls within the responsibility of the tenant. But you don't have to depend on me to tell you what to look for. Your lease will detail who is responsible for what. So it's always really important to take a look at that lease. A lot of people only look at, okay, how much is the rent? When is it due? You need to look at who is responsible for what. So for example, in my lease, it has a cap on the expenses that a tenant can be responsible for. So for example, any minor repairs in the property that are below $200, that is a responsibility of a tenant. So for example, let's say you have a leaky faucet and you need to now go and just get a washer, right? Or you need to pour some Drano in the sink to make sure that, you know, the water can run down, or you may want to change a lock. Those things can fall within that. For something bigger now, and this is an example for another property that I have. For some reason, every Christmas I have to get the grease trap cleaned. And when I spoke to the person cleaning the trap and the plumber, they said that the way the house was built, there is a curve in the pipe leading from the kitchen sink, which causes sediment and other debris to build up in the pipe. So I know by the time we get to October, November of the year, my tenant is going to call me and tell me she's having some plumbing issues. I'm not debating that with her. She's not responsible for the pipework of the house. It is something that falls to me. It is important to know where you stand in terms of repairs for a property. Another question that a lot of people ask about is, how do you get back your security deposit? Well, I created a post on the page which actually details it, but I'll go through some of those details for you now. But I'll certainly encourage you to take a look at it. Now, as a tenant, it is in your best interest to always bring any structural issues that are occurring on the property to the landlord's attention. It doesn't mean that you're responsible for them, but you do have a responsibility to let them know, because if things escalate, or let's say a pipe bursts in the wall, it's going to damage the furniture, it's going to damage the cupboards. If you never say anything, the landlord now has a point when they say, look, you know, you may have contributed in negligence to not bringing this to my attention. Now, at the end of the day, if you brought it to their attention and they never dealt with it, and it come now and mash up your good carpet or your good sound system, you now have a point. I have been on a lease before where we were able to go back to the landlord and say, listen, we brought these plumbing issues to you on a number of occasions. It was not dealt with, and now we have a situation where our electronics are damaged. It serves your interest. Now, to the juicy point of why you need to bring these things to your landlord's attention. It prevents unfair charges. Reporting problems early prevents the landlord from blaming you for pre-existing conditions. Document the proof. I know that usually once we have a good relationship with somebody, we don't document these things. After you have the conversation, a WhatsApp or a little email saying, hi, so-and-so, we spoke, just a note to confirm that we discussed XYZ. Cover yourself. It also prevents costly damages. Gave the example of the electronics that I was able to claim back. That really did happen. Also, it clarifies responsibility. When you're in a house for a long period of time, things may come up and it may not be clear. Your lease will help to guide you, but also by having these conversations and documenting them, you cover yourself to make sure you get back your security deposit. So when is the security deposit due? Usually your lease will stipulate it. I'm going to say usually within the month after you leave, because this is what happens. As you can see, you still have to come in and do an inspection, and that's not always feasible while somebody is in the house. You cannot see your property properly when a whole family is living inside of it unless the problem is very obvious. So you have to vacate. An inspection is done, cleaning will take place if you never did it, and you also sometimes need to give an opportunity for bills to come in. So for example, let's say the internet or the electricity came into your rent. Not because you leave at the end of the month means that the bill for the month is ready. So usually there's a grace period of a month, and once you can demonstrate that you have kept your property up to par, that you are responsible for, the place is clean, you've given back your keys, and the utilities are paid, you're usually entitled to your security deposit. Now, in instances where a landlord retains the security deposit, you are entitled to some documentation. So for example, let's say your security deposit was $2,000 and they say that they're keeping it, you have the right to ask for what? You also can ask for a proof of the bill. For example, if I spent $1,500 cleaning this place and I said I kept your security deposit, this is the bill for the $1,500. This is why it is deducted from the security deposit. Similarly, if I say, look, there are 4 months outstanding on the utilities, here are the utility bills. So you do have a right to ask the question, and your landlord should provide you with that information if requested. This house is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath unit. Now, for staging purposes, I've always staged one of the rooms as a study. Why? Because I know that my tenant is a student. They've come from overseas to live here to pursue university education. So it helps to have a room that is dedicated to studying. Now, I'm particularly pleased with how this room came together, and I really want to stress why home staging matters. So what is home staging? Home staging is the process of strategically preparing a home for sale or rental, and it involves the placement of furniture, decor, and other elements to either enhance the strengths of a space or to downplay their weaknesses. Now, this room wasn't a weakness, but it was always a bit of a weird spot for me because it just never looked good. Now it really does feel like a space that I want to be in. Another area was the corner of the bedroom, the second bedroom. Now that bedroom really does need a bit of a paint job, and if you're lying down on the bed, you're not looking at anything nice. I really love how they placed the bistro table and the accent chair there, because now it gives the room another function and it conceals what I don't want anyone to see. Now, when it comes to staging a place, usually you see it on HGTV, or when a big development goes into the market, you'll have home stagers come in to dress the space. I would say 70% of what you see here is staying in here. The other items, I guess I could say, of a more personal nature, so I will take those home with me. Those will actually go into another property. But I would encourage you, even if you are not renting a place furnished, you do want to show it in a way that really optimizes the features of a home. And here's a tip. Don't ask me how come it's true, it just is. Places that are small look bigger when they are furnished. So if you're renting a unit that is more on the compact size, by placing furniture in it, you'd be surprised at how it opens up the space. I'm going to actually soak this up for a little bit. I'm so pleased with how it came together. We're going to take some pictures because I need them for the rental catalog, and I might just lie down here for a little bit, because it's mine. I'm Kelly Johnley, and this is Bajan Renovation.